Hi there, and welcome to lesson number 3 in the CoSchedule Getting Started course, for those of you who will be implementing CoSchedule for your marketing team. In this lesson, we are going to be talking about task management in CoSchedule, and how you can use CoSchedule to finally get insight into your team's daily tasks and priorities. By the end of this lesson, you should understand how and when to add a standalone new task to the calendar, how to add a task to a project, how to create a list of tasks in a project, and how to create task templates with approvals and task rules. Let's start off by talking about adding a standalone task to your CoSchedule calendar. First, we should talk about when exactly you should do this. Adding a standalone task to the calendar should be done to remind your team of a one-off task that's not attached to a project. This could be a reminder to respond to an email, call a client, or update an Excel spreadsheet. Now let's head over to the CoSchedule calendar so I can show you how to do this. Once you're on your CoSchedule calendar, click the plus sign on the date you want to remind your team member to accomplish the task. Choose the option that says More Options, and then choose Task. Next, you should add some text. Assign the task. And you can also pick a different date for when this task will be due, but I'm just going to leave the date that we initially selected. Then choose Create. This now gives you some options for discussion or color labels, but I'm just going to leave it blank for now. The individuals who have been assigned this task will then see the task appear on their CoSchedule calendars. The next thing we're going to work on is how to add a task to a marketing project in CoSchedule. Adding tasks to marketing projects creates a central hub where everyone can go and see who is doing what and when their tasks are due. We're going to go back over to the CoSchedule calendar to work on adding a task to a project. Once you make it to your CoSchedule calendar, you're going to want to open up a project on your calendar. On the right-hand side, you'll see a taskbar where you can start adding tasks to a project. You can schedule the task. We're going to do days before publish, and we'll choose 14. You can select Done. You can also assign the task to someone. So we're going to assign this to our intern. Next, we're going to continue building out that workflow by creating a list of tasks on that marketing project. If we move back to the calendar into the project we were just working on, you can continue to add tasks by clicking the Add New Task bar. Once you've added all of your tasks to your workflow, it should look something like this. This task workflow consists of all the items that need to be accomplished in order for this employee newsletter to go out. Next thing we're going to do is save this workflow as a template in order for you to reuse later. This allows you to save a lot of time, so you don't have to consistently be working out all of these workflows for projects that you recreate on a regular basis. The ability to templatize your workflow is only available if you have the work organizer. One easy way to tell if you have the work organizer is the template option appears after clicking on the 3 dots at the top of your task sidebar. I'll show you this now. The template option is right in this upper right-hand corner when you click on those 3 dots. So if you see this on your CoSchedule calendar, you have the work organizer, which means you have the templates option. If you don't see this, unfortunately, you will not be able to templatize any workflows. But for the sake of this exercise, let's move forward assuming that you do have the work organizer, so you can learn a little bit about how to use these templates. In order to save the workflow you just created, we'll click into Templates, and then choose the option to Save Existing. What I recommend doing is creating a name that's general enough to remind yourself that this is the task template to use whenever you have this type of project. So for this, I'm going to remove May, because we are just going to use this template for every newsletter for each month. So now it is just going to be named Employee Newsletter Template. And if you go back into your templates, you can now see the template living under all your saved task templates. The next thing you're going to do is apply this task template to a future project. So the next time that you're planning an employee newsletter, for instance, you can apply this template so you don't have to go rethink the tasks again. So we'll close out of this project and find another employee newsletter. Here's the June one. Now to apply the template to this project, you'll go hit those three dots, go to Task Template, choose the template that you want. So I'm going to choose Employee Newsletter Template, and then hit Apply. And all of your workflow should be right here in that same project. The next thing we're going to work through is something called task approvals. Task approvals basically eliminate the need to manually notify people when a task is ready for their approval. This means that it removes some bottlenecks in your workflow when people aren't aware that something is ready for their approval. Again, it's important to remember, task approvals are only available with the Marketing Suite Work Organizer plans. Not sure if you have one of these plans? Click on the arrow button over on a text. If you see approvals, you're good to go. Here is the step-by-step process of how to add an approval task. I'm going to go over to the CoSchedule calendar to show you how to do this. On each task, you'll see an arrow that clicks over. If you see an area that says Approvals or requires approval by, that means that you do have the Work Organizer plan, so this functionality is for you. If you don't have this, that's okay. We have a little workaround that I'll touch on after this process. So this task has been assigned to Rodney Ryder, but we can also add an approval by clicking here and choosing Amanda Manager. So what I've done is just added a task approval that's only for this specific project. If you want to add that task approval to your template, simply close out of this, click over to Templates, click the pencil next to the template, click over, and add the approval here. So that approval is now in that template. So whenever you apply that template, that approval will stay with the workflow. If you don't have that task approval functionality, it's very easy to simply add a task approval step within your workflow. In this example here, you can see that I added an Approve Website Content step. This is a really great way to make sure that things are getting approved without actually having that task approval functionality. Next up, we're going to talk about task rules. Task rules essentially add automation to your workflow to lessen the time it takes you to monitor project progress and update timelines. Again, this functionality is only available with Marketing Suite Work Organizer plans. If you have task approvals in the previous section, you also have access to task rules. The first task rule we are going to implement is one that speeds up project completions. We all want to complete more work in less time, and this task rule essentially lets that happen. So let's say that your task template you allocated 10 days for a writer to produce content. However, it only took them 5 days to complete the task. This means that a 5-day lag has been created in the production process because the next task isn't scheduled to begin for another 5 days. Luckily, we have a task rule that can allow the production process of this to be sped up. Here's how you do it. I'm going to move over to show you how to do this in real life. In order to double check that you have task rules, simply click over to a task and scroll down. If you see the rules area, you have it. If you don't see the rules area, you do not have the work organizer or the rule functionality. To add a task rule to one of your task templates, click the Templates option and then edit the template that you want to add the rule to. We're going to do Design Images, and click over. Go down to Add a Rule, and we are going to, when another task is completed or approved, and then we're going to do the one before designing. So that one is Write Newsletter. Then for your action, set this task due date to, and then we'll do 1 day after. So that way, when Rodney finishes writing his newsletter, this task will automatically get rescheduled earlier. Click Save, and now you've successfully added a task rule to this template. The next task rule that you can use is one that helps streamline project handoffs between teams. This is really great for teams that have complex workflows that involve multiple teams. So you can use this task rule to automatically update the project owner as the project moves from department to department for approval. This automates the passing of the baton, so you don't have to manually email people to notify them when a project is now ready for them and their team to begin working on. I'm going to head over into the CoSchedule calendar to show you how this is done. Once again, you'll click into Templates, choose the template you want, and we're going to add another task rule to design images. Condition to when this task is completed or approved. And then we'll select that we want to change the owner of this project to, and then we'll do the editing team because their task is next. And then you hit save. And now when the graphics are done and marked off, it moves over to Eddie on the editing team, and they will know that it's time to work on the project. The final task rule we recommend setting up is one that automatically schedules overdue tasks. We realize that many things come up that impact project timelines. Maybe a coworker is out sick, or maybe you're waiting on feedback from a client. And what this does is it automatically reschedules the project to reflect overdue tasks, which gives you a more accurate picture of a project timeline. I'm going to head over into the CoSchedule calendar one last time and walk you through this task. Once again, you'll click over to Templates, edit the template you want, click on a task, and scroll down to add a rule. For your condition, you will choose when this task becomes past due, and then you will choose reschedule this project. Now, you can manually choose how far ahead you want to reschedule this project, but I'm just going to choose 3 days after. Then hit save. Now, when this task becomes past due, it will automatically reschedule this project for 3 days later. All right, that was a really heavy episode. We learned a lot. Thank you so much for joining me. In the next lesson, we're going to be talking about how you can power up your CoSchedule calendar by adding integrations.